Hey you guys, so I just wanted to give you guys an update because I started with week 1 and here I am, and I just finished week 4, and week 4 was super intense. That's probably why I fell off the map for so long. It's because I was anticipating week 4 and I started to try to study and get it together, and week 4 is done and I'm alive. Yay! I have a pulse. Yes, and I know how to take that now that we're taking flipper class too. So officially I know how to take a pulse and blood pressure. But I just wanted to kind of give you guys an update. So right now, well, first, the reason why week 4 is so intense is because it's the first time that we have a test in 3 of our classes. So I had anatomy on Monday, physiology on Wednesday, and on Friday I had biochem. And so far I have passed all my classes and I'm doing well. So that's really good news. I'm really happy to hear that, and I worked really hard to try to make that happen. So it was a little nerve-wracking because I didn't know what to expect, but it all worked out. So what I will say about this though is that there are a couple, I guess, of tips that I need to kind of put out there. And so one of them is knowing how to study. So one of the things that I struggled with in the very beginning of medical school was my study technique. And I think that part of that was because I was trying new study techniques that the medical school taught us during our orientation. And I realized that those weren't working for me and I wasn't really retaining anything. They had some helpful ideas, not that they weren't helpful at all, but trying to use that as my sole means of studying, not working. So basically in the second week of school, I had to adapt and figure out what's going to work for me. And then I think about 2.5 to 3 weeks, I realized that I have to use different techniques for different classes, and also that, like for instance, for anatomy, right? So for anatomy, at first I was just trying to write it all down. So I made a whole chart of the origin, insertion, innervation, and action for all the muscles, let's say the superficial muscles of the back. And I did that, and then came to realize that when I have this huge chart in front of me, it's way too much information for me to look at and be able to break down and retain on my own. So what I ended up doing was making one sheet for the origins of all the superficial muscles in the back. And the reason why I did origins on one sheet instead of doing the origin, insertion, action, and innervation of trapezius on one sheet is because when I did it that way, I was able to see a pattern. And so when you group these muscles together, a lot of times their origins are sort of similar, or maybe their innervation is sort of similar, or their actions are sort of similar, or maybe they're innervated by the same thing. And so doing it that way, I'm like, okay, there's less for me to learn. All I gotta do is say, oh, well, these last 3 are innervated by, I don't know, the dorsal scapular nerve, so that kind of makes it easier. What else? Oh, getting with a group. So once you study this stuff on your own, getting with a group that you can study with and that you study well with is important, for at least for me, because when I did that, then I could say, okay, here's my information, test me. And I have friends that will drill me. Oh, you got it wrong. They'll go through the rest of it and then ask me that one question. Go through the rest of it, ask me that one question. So drilling it and going through it over and over and over again, that was helpful. And then one of my friends is really good at making up test questions. And actually, we all are. So if I know you're weak in an area, I'll make up a test question for that. And kind of understanding what kinds of questions the teacher likes to ask, how they like to ask questions. Our anatomy teacher loves to ask second or third order questions. And so by that I mean, instead of saying, okay, I learned that the origin for the trapezius is here, instead of saying where is the origin, I would ask you, I don't know, if someone got stabbed at this origin location, then what muscles would be affected? And obviously the trapezius being one of the options would be one of the answers. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm making sense. So just kind of being able to apply that knowledge, being able to ask second and third degree questions. So like today, I was holding a little session at the school where I was trying to kind of teach people how to drill the way that I drill, or how to learn the way that I learn, and see if it helped them. And I think it was very beneficial. So we would go through all the origins and then erase, rewrite it, erase, rewrite it, erase, rewrite it. And then it was like, okay, what muscles are innervated by the dorsoscapular nerve? What muscles touch the scapula at all? So once you kind of learn the language of it, then it's testing it to the next level, the next degree. And so I think doing that and finding people to help you do that is very helpful. Biochem and physio is not the same, right? So it's not like, oh, drill. It's, you got to read the material, understand the material, and then go through questions. So we did stuff like that. So we used the BRS, which is the board review series, to practice for those type of things. Or we would make up questions as we went along. And I think practicing questions, trying to anticipate the type of questions that the teacher is going to ask you is important, because it gives you an idea of how is that teacher going to be thinking, what level of question do you need to be answering, and therefore how much information and how much detail do you need to know. And that's really important. So that was really helpful. And I don't know. It's those kinds of things that got me through. Starting earlier, I think, would be helpful. Don't waste so much time trying to figure out how you study. Figure that out beforehand, so that when you're going through the process, you just start using that and you know what you got. I mean, it's easier to said than done, because obviously you don't know what's going to work for you until you try it. But I know that there are lots of things. So there's another program that a lot of people are using that's helpful as well. Like, I'm also using an app called Complete Anatomy, and Complete Anatomy is really helpful because basically not only does it show you where the origin and insertions are, but it also shows you the action. So if I have if I want to show you what my deltoid did, just to visualize the muscle doing that, that's super helpful as well. Because if you're a person who learns through visual learning, then you can close your eyes and envision, how did that muscle move? I remember it going like that. I remember seeing that muscle stretch like this, or whatever the case is. And so just basically building on the number of ways that you have to do your recall, visually, hearing it, seeing it, testing it, and then of course just repetition, so that's helpful. Also, a lot of my classmates are doing something, and I'm trying to do it now. I need to learn more about this, but it's called Anki, and that's spelled A-N-K-I. And Anki is basically spaced repetition. And so it helps you to remember to practice, and it'll pull itself up. It'll ask you these questions. And if you get it wrong, then it knows that you need to practice that more often. Whereas if you get something right, it won't ask you that question again for a while. The only thing is that you have to insert these questions. You have to tell it what you want to practice. And so that can take some time up, but ultimately, in terms of practicing and drilling, it's really good and helpful means of doing it by yourself if you don't have a partner. And so that's the alternative if you don't have a group to help you do that. And so I'm going to try to implement that. I'll definitely let you guys know how that goes when I do it. But yeah, so this is after week 4, you guys. Thanks for checking in with me, and and I'll continue to keep you guys posted. I know one of you sent me something requesting information about the different modalities, and I will do a video on that next. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll get back to you guys soon, and I'll try to keep up with this and do it more often. All right, until the next time, you guys. Bye.